Good morning and welcome to Worldwide Wisdom. We're learning today the foundations of Jewish faith. We're on a spiritual journey, folks, where we're going to put on the snorkel. We're not going scuba. We're going snorkeling. Because scuba is a deep dive. So when you study Hasidus is a deep dive into the very roots of consciousness and existence. But the study of Hakira, which is philosophy, is not as deep as the study of mysticism. It's a different genre of Jewish wisdom. It's known as I call it snorkeling as opposed to scuba diving, and you understand the difference. In classic Jewish thought, it's called pardes. The word pardes, P-A-R-D-E-S, means an orchard. Means what?
It's an acronym, right?
Pardes is a word which means an orchard, but it's actually also an acronym, as you correctly point out. Pardes stands for 4 layers of depth within wisdom, within Torah wisdom. Pshat is literal. This is like walking in the field. Remez is the hints. So Rashi, for example, don't worry, it's okay, it's good, feel free. Mix up at home. So Pshat is like Rashi's interpretation, very, very literal. Remez is the hint, is more like the Ibn Ezra, which is the hinted meanings of the texts. Now you're digging a hole in the ground. Drush is sermonic. Sermonic. Like a sermon. Sermonic, which is more depth than just a hint. Like a hint would be like a gematria, like a gematria would be like the numerical value of this word is like the numerical value of that word. So it's not literal, but it is deeper than literal. That's the second level of Torah study. Remez. Drush is sermonic, which is an example of that would be like Ramban. Nachmanides was very, very sermonic. 12th century, well, and then there's
in your hierarchy of meditation, you can see that it's like
there could be an interesting relationship with that. I'm not going to get into that right now because it might be a little tangential. And then sod, which means the secret. Sod is already when you're getting into the depth. This is probably what we're learning. I think Hakira may qualify for sod, for secret, which is snorkel. Hasidus goes scuba. It's all the way down to the Mariana Trench. Can you do that? No, maybe it's a pressurized submarine, but that didn't go too well.
No, it didn't go too well. Pop.
Because you need a Rebbe. You need a Rebbe to take you down there. That's why. Okay. Anyways, what I want to do today, we're studying the Kuzari, and I want to encourage you to get this book, the Kuzari. Here it is, the green and gold one, green and brown.
$23 on Amazon.
Right. But what I wanted to do today, folks, is I wanted to give you an executive summary. I wanted to give you an overview of the Kuzari, of where we're going with this. It's divided into 5 parts, and I wanted to give you a summary of all 5 parts, so at least we can get the orientation of where we're going in this spiritual journey. Before we even go into the text today, the author was Rabbi Yehuda Levi. He was born in 1075, passed in 1141. It is a genre of philosophy of Hakira. And the purpose of the Kuzari text is to explain and defend the Judaism, not as an abstract philosophy, but as a lived historical divine experience. The core thesis is that Judaism is true not because it is philosophically elegant, but because it is rooted in national, witnessed, simultaneous revelation. National, witnessed, simultaneous revelation, something which no other religion is able to claim. How many people witnessed the foundations of Christianity?
1. Paul.
1. Was it not... Wasn't it
the guy? Yeah.
The guy himself?
No. He lived and died a Jew.
So interesting. I'm no expert. I am no expert in Christianity, and you are certainly an expert. It's a pleasure. It is a pleasure to study this with you, by the way. I just want you to know. It's good to have you here, my son. What?
My son?
Limerick was a man named Saul.
Yeah,
who changed his name to Paul, and that's what started it all. Because he was on the road to.
It's not a limerick. Limerick is 5 lines.
Oh, everybody's a maven.
Sublime.
Okay, good.
Right. But yes, but very good, Harvey.
Okay, good. Well said. Very nice. Very nice. Good. So, how many people witnessed the foundations of Islam?
0. I have something to say about that.
One person. He was an illiterate camel driver. Not like Nicolas Maduro, who was a bus driver, but he was an illiterate camel driver. I mean, not to disparage, God forbid. I really don't want to disparage. But
your name means carriage.
My name is Carriage. What?
Did you say your name? Vigler is from the word.
Oh, my name is Carriage. Yeah, but I don't mean to disparage. You're still on the limerick.
Carriage.
He's on the limerick still.
There's the carriage.
So, all right. So I really don't. No, but it's interesting when did Muhammad have a Jew that was a scribe? You know, it's interesting because Muhammad was a camel driver. He was exposed to many Jewish merchants, and he was able to exchange and learn many ideas right from them. And we'll learn about in the Kuzari about how these two faiths were daughters of Judaism. Very interesting. Again, not to disparage, but just to compare, because that is the framework of this book. The framework is written as a dialogue between the king of the Khazars, who was a king, but somewhere between the Caspian and the Black Sea in that time. No, before. He was in the 9th century. And he had a debate as he was searching for the true religion between a philosopher, a Christian, a Muslim, and a rabbi. The rabbi was the one who ultimately convinces the king, and the king converts himself and his entire people to Judaism, where they lasted as a Jewish kingdom of the Khazars for around 300 years before they ran into trouble. Yeah, the Mongols. Now, thank you. It's great to study this with you. I love it because you bring in like a whole different angle.
I'm a Mongoloid.
No, really. Okay. So the king will interview each worldview to determine which reflects authentic divine truths. Right? Now, if we have to identify the key ideas of the Kuzari, I've put it together into 7 different ideas. Here it is. So the 7 ideas are as follows. Number 1, that philosophy is not enough.
What?
Philosophy is not enough.
It must be.
Philosophers rely on logic and speculation, on theory, on persuasion. Logic changes. You can be persuaded in, you can be persuaded out of something. Revelation is not based on persuasion. When an entire nation simultaneously witnesses, not one person sees something. It wasn't Moses who saw the burning bush alone. It was the entire nation that simultaneously witnessed the revelation at Mount Sinai 3,338 years ago on the day of Shavuos. It's impossible to corroborate the story, which is simultaneous revelation, because you cannot invent a story. You will be talking a lot more about this, but I'm just in the helicopter overview right now, right? When you understand that, it's such a compelling argument. It's impossible to argue with it. Philosophy can describe God, but doesn't connect with God, because Judaism is not a theory, it's a relationship. First of 7 ideas. Number 2, he explains that Christianity and Islam are second-hand, because both of them rely on individual revelation or later claims.
Derivative.
And they are derivatives of Judaism. So in other words, it's only when Judaism is true that they have any leg to stand on, right? But what would you go with, the original or the update, assuming that the update is even real? It's like the sequel, right? The sequel, that's even a better word. Fair enough, a better word. So Judaism is the only religion based on a mass national revelation simultaneous at Sinai, where millions witnessed God, not just a single person in a cave. Number 3, the third principle, the third idea is the national revelation is unique, that the Sinai experience involved an entire nation hearing God directly. This makes Judaism historically verifiable and not merely mythical. No other religion is able to make such an unbelievable claim. The word is not unbelievable. Such a powerful, compelling claim. You know, if just think about it for a moment. If we all decided around this table right now, if we all decided that we're going to go home and tell everybody that we know that Donald Trump came to study Torah with us today. Imagine we said that. What would happen? Would people believe us, yes or no? Jerome, what do you think? Why not? Why wouldn't they? If all of us said the same story.
If we all said the same story?
Why wouldn't they believe us? Why not?
Because you wouldn't have the glow.
Come home with gold watches. Yeah, right.
You know, I want to tell you, the other night I met with Sarah Netanyahu. I had dinner the other night with Sarah Netanyahu.
The wife, Sarah.
What? With Sarah, Bibi's wife.
Yeah.
I had dinner with Bibi's wife. Now, if I told you that alone,
You personally.
me personally,
Do it. And alone?
Alone.
No, you're not allowed to have that.
now he's asking me a lot of questions. This is good. I want to tell you this. Let me say this to you. So if it was me alone telling you the story,
Right,
then you might have a very hard time believing that. Like, really, Rabbi?
But you tell us.
Well, thank you. I appreciate your confidence in me. But I want to tell you, we had all 5 rabbis and rebbitzins of our Chabad together having dinner, and she was there, and I had a conversation with her, surrounded by bodyguards. But yeah, now if you're going to ask each, no, my bodyguards spoke to her bodyguards. So why am I telling this? Because if you check with each one of the 10 people that were with me, every one of them will tell you exactly the same story. They'll tell you where she was sitting and how it happened and how it started and how it ended. So there's corroboration, right? What time was it? It's not like what someone's going to tell you. Well, maybe it was 5 o'clock, maybe it was 9 p.m., maybe it was Thursday, maybe it was Monday, maybe it was inside, maybe it was outside, maybe the rabbi initiated, maybe she initiated. When we all of us saw it, it's just that you can't make this up because we're all going to say the same story. So if we go out and tell everybody that Donald Trump came to study Torah with us this morning, each one of us is going to have a slightly different story. But if he actually came to study with us today, what's going to happen is that none of us are going to have a different story. We're all going to have exactly the same story. Now, let's keep on going. 4 out of 7 ideas. Idea number 4 is that God is found in history, not in abstraction. Is a very important idea that the Kuzari is going to address. That God reveals himself through ideas, through events, not just through ideas. Right? So you look at Noah's Ark. You want to see Noah's Ark, go to Mount Ararat on the border of Iran and Turkey, and the thing is still there. You see the pyramids of Egypt. You'll see the remnants of the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. You'll see the remnants, right? There's the story of Exodus, the story of Sinai. There is actual prophecy because Jewish faith is experiential. It's not just metaphysical. Number 5, the Jewish people possess a unique spiritual capacity, where the Jewish people have a unique receptivity to divine influence, where prophecy is not random. It's cultivated through 3 things: lineage, Jewish lineage; land, in the land of Israel is much more conducive. We're going to talk about that. And through the law, when you comply with God's laws, with Torah, that's when you are becoming receptive to it. The Torah is designed specifically for this nation. We're going to learn about idea number 6 is, idea number 6 is the land of Israel. The prophecy thrives only in the land of Israel. Remember, this was a conversation that took place in Kuzari, right? Somewhere near Crimea. Geography has spiritual consequences, and Judaism detached from the land of Israel is incomplete. You cannot entirely be a proper Jew who is divorced from the land of Israel. In fact, Rashi says something dramatic. He says that any Jew who lives outside of the land of Israel is an idol worshiper. Whoa, big statement there, right? Okay, the final of the 7 is the mitzvahs are not just symbolic. People like to think of, did a good deed, a better deed. Mitzvahs are not just symbolic, they're actually transformative. These are all related, these ideas, as you may have noticed. When you do a mitzvah, you become conducive to divine revelation. The commandments refine the soul and align the Jew with God. Even laws that seem irrational, in fact, the more irrational they seem, the more they shape our spiritual sensitivity.
Kierkegaard, that was his 19th century.
Because practice precedes understanding. Okay? In other words, you don't believe because you understand, but rather you understand because you believe. Let's give an example of that. A Jew comes to the rabbi and he says, Rabbi, I'd like to improve my faith. Teach me. And the rabbi says to him, lay tefillin. He says, no, I don't want to lay tefillin. I want you to enhance my faith. So the rabbi says, so lay tefillin. It's a true story, by the way. And the guy says to me, but Rabbi, I need to understand before I lay tefillin. So I say to him, when you go to your doctor, you say to your doctor, I want to be healthy. So explain to me every nuance of the digestive system. Explain to me how enzymes and proteins and nutrients work so that I can then choose whether I want to have breakfast or do you just eat breakfast first. I said to him, if you're going to wait to understand the entire human anatomy and pathology, you're going to be dead from 1,000 years of starvation before you've actually eaten, before you've actually able to eat. You got to eat in order to be able to understand the process. And not just the same way, laying the tefillin makes us spiritually conducive to this and receptive to the ideas. So bottom line, the Kuzari argues through these 7 ideas that Judaism is not the best idea about God amongst other ideas, but rather that Judaism is the record of God engaging with human beings. It is not just about an idea, it's about a relationship. And the faith is transmitted through living tradition, not through proofs. It's not just a philosophy or an ethics, but rather It's an inherited encounter. It's a relationship. Now, there are 5 parts to the Kuzari. You'll notice that there's 5 distinct sections of the Kuzari. I just want to give a quick overview, a helicopter overview of each of those 5 sections. The first one is why Judaism is true. That's the first of the 5 sections. It tells us about the dream that the Kuzari king had. The dream was that he was seeking a true religion. Well, he started seeking the true religion after the recurring dream. The dream was that your intentions are, an angel came to him and said, your intentions are correct, but not your actions. So he was like, okay, so I got to find out what the right actions are. That's when he invited the philosopher, the rabbi, the Muslim scholar, and the Christian priest, right? Remember, this is only 8th century, 9th century. So they were already all 3 religions around. I mean, Islam is 1,500 years old, new kid on the block. And Christianity is 2,000 years old, right? 570 CE was birth of Muhammad, right?
Did you say 1,500 or 150?
1,500 years old.
Islam? Oh, now it is.
1,500 years old, yeah.
At the time, it was about 150.
Oh, yeah, of course. It was 570 CE is the beginning of Islam. And Christianity was 2,000 years old. So now, he first checks with the philosopher who presents God as abstract and impersonal. The king is not impressed. Philosophy offers ideas, not obligation or intimacy. Then Christianity and Islam are presented as faiths based on individual revelation. But the Jewish sage begins not with God as creator, but he begins with, I believe in God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who took us out of Egypt. In other words, he speaks of Judaism founded not on an individual revelation, but on national revelation witnessed by millions at Mount Sinai. Because Jewish faith, argues the Jew, is rooted in memory, transmission, and lived experience, not just in logic. And that's a very, very important foundation, because God is known through history, not through speculation. That's the first one, foundations of faith. Number 2, the second of the 5 sections of the Kuzari is about the Jewish people and divine capacity, why Jews are different. He explains that the Jewish people have a unique receptivity to God. He calls it an inyan eloki, a godly constant, which Tanya calls a godly soul. Prophecy is not just random. It requires proper lineage, moral refinement, divine law, and the land of Israel. And he explains that the Torah is in fact tailored to the Jewish soul, not to universal abstraction. Converts are able to reach a Jewish connection, but to Jews it comes naturally. Okay, the third one is about action. Why Judaism emphasizes action. Think about the philosopher; he doesn't emphasize any action at all, right? Then the Muslim and the Christian, they have a bit of a conflicting action, right? You know, I was once on an airplane. I was living in South Africa, of course, and I was traveling to Israel, to yeshiva. So I was this young 17-year-old yeshiva student, and flying on a very long flight to Israel by myself. And next to me sat a very gleeful missionary, and he figured he had a captive audience. He was this young rabbinical student.
Catholic?
Yeah, he was a Christian missionary. Yeah, I don't know which kind of Christian he was.
Could have been LDS.
Whatever. He was, there's no LDS in South Africa. He was, whatever. Let's assume he was Catholic. So he's sitting over there and he's talking to me. He's being nice and friendly. And he's telling me about, Christianity is the real religion. It's the real faith. Because God realized that the Jewish people were the chosen people. But then he rejected them because they weren't good enough. He gave them 613 commandments. It wasn't working. They were sinful. So he abandoned them in favor of the new Jews, Christians, the New Testament. And now there's only one religion, one law. What was the one law? The law of love. That's what he said. That the New Testament is based on one mitzvah alone, mitzvah of love. And he's going on and on and on. Eventually, I was just listening, maybe I was homesick. And eventually I said to him, let me get this straight. Let me summarize. So he was like, great. You're so excited. I'm going to summarize. So I said, okay, so Jews used to be the chosen people, no more the chosen people. God realized they made a mistake. 613 commandments is too much for man. So he gave us one commandment. What's the one commandment? Love. And this guy's so excited. He's like, yeah. So I said, so in the name of love, your people butchered, massacred, slaughtered, raped, pillaged, and murdered my ancestors in the first crusade, the second crusade, the third crusade, the fourth crusade, and the fifth crusade. In the Spanish Inquisition and expulsion, every inch of Europe is drenched in the blood of my ancestors. And this is all in the name of love.
What was his response?
It's tough.
He asked to go to the bathroom, and I never saw him the rest of the flight.
Yeah,
So,
wow.
yeah, that's a true story. So I never saw him the rest of the flight. I had 2 seats. So I don't know. Maybe jumped out the window. I don't know what happened. So Judaism emphasizes action, whereas in other religions, it's like there's no stopping what you're allowed to do in order to gain your ulterior motives, right? You're allowed to like behead anybody that you want in Islam if they're infidels, right? You're allowed to kill anybody, even though
Obligated.
and they have this problem. Hamas has got this huge problem where they say, they kidnap all these hostages, and then they start telling us, well, we would never commit sexual crimes. It's not allowed in the Quran. And you're like, 1 second. So everything else you just did is allowed in the Quran, but this is not allowed in the Quran. Right, and I'm supposed to believe you now. Right, and I'm supposed to believe you now because you're telling me, you the rapist, murderer, mass killer, is the one that's telling me about how ethical you are, and I'm supposed to believe this. I mean, this is talk about the epitome of gaslighting, right? And I'm like, so I'm the problem now because I don't believe you that you didn't commit a sexual crime, right? It's like gaslighting in the nth degree. Right. So Judaism is extremely consistent. You've got to follow the protocol. You've got to follow the template. It's not optional. It's not sometimes. It's always in every locale, in every situation, right? So in this third of the 5 chapters, he talks about the importance of action, how actions shape belief more than belief shapes action. Take it till you make it, right? Mitzvahs are not symbolic gestures. They actually spiritually refine the soul. And the ritual creates inner awareness and discipline. And that's why Judaism prioritizes obedience before understanding. Philosophy looks the other way around. Understanding before obedience. The Torah creates meaning through practice. Faith without mitzvah observance is pathetic. Am I allowed to say that? Mm-hmm. That's okay, right? Okay, number 4. No, he's my lawyer. Tells me what I'm allowed to say. So, fine. Finally, number 4. Penultimately, number 4 is about prophecy. Language in the land of Israel, where holiness lives. Holiness lives in the language of Israel, holy tongue. In the land of Israel, the holy land, and in the holy people. So prophecy is the highest form of human divine connection, whereas the philosopher says that wisdom is the highest form of divine connection. And prophecy flourishes in the land of Israel, the people of Israel, in the Hebrew language, and in the temple-centered life, right? Exile, which is where we are in the diaspora, weakens prophetic capacity, but doesn't sever the connection. Judaism outside of Israel is functional, but is incomplete. The land of Israel is spiritually causal. The land of Israel is spiritually causal, which means it's your conduit. It's not just symbolic. There's a whole discussion amongst the Kabbalists about when we pray, where do our prayers go before they go up to heaven? Do they go to heaven through Hebron? Do they go through Jerusalem? Do they go through Tzfat? The city of fire, the city of water, the city of air, the city of earth. Or Tiberias, right? There's a whole discussion about how they go through the land of Israel. I was going to say something though. What was I going to say? I'm sorry.
Conduit.
I was going to say. Exile weakens. I was going to say something, but I lost my own train of thought. So forgive me there. And the last one I just want to share with you is the last of the 5 sections of the Kuzari, is about philosophy. Free will and the limits of reason. Why Judaism resists abstraction. Because philosophy cannot access God's essence. It's just speculation. And over-reliance on reason leads to doubt and relativism. It's not enough to be, like I spoke in Shabbos in the sermon about Joseph versus Judah. Right? It's not creativity and wisdom in the face of action doesn't hold water. Action ultimately is the be all and end all. Judaism accepts reason but subordinates it to revelation, even when things don't make sense, right? Free will is preserved despite divine foreknowledge. This is going to be a lot of fun, right? Though God knows what we're going to do, we still have freedom of choice. We're going to talk about that. It's actually not a conflict. Okay. And that's really the end of the overview, which I wanted to share with you. So I wanted to give you just an orientation of where we're going with this. It's going to be a very, very interesting journey as we travel through the foundations of faith. Okay. A lot of interesting comments. Yeah, go ahead, Harvey. What's the question?
So the Alter Rebbe was many centuries later.
Yeah.
Founder of
The Alter Rebbe was born in
so
1745.
many centuries later, way after the Kuzari. And I'm wondering, it sounds like a lot of this is Chassidus 101.
Yeah,
Or basically-
a lot of Hasidus is based on these writings. Yeah,
That was my question.
yeah, absolutely. There are certain texts that the Rebbes would study in their early youth, and these are some of the texts that I would like to study with you. Okay, for example, the writings of Rabbeinu Bechaya, we learned the Gates of Trust, which is one section of the writings of duties of the heart, which incorporates many other gates. There's gates of trust, there's gates of unity, there's gates of whatever, other sorts of gates. This Kuzari is very foundational Judaism, and I think that it's a very, very important. Yeah, Hasidus is based on it. You got to snorkel before you scuba. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. What? Oh, it was written in the 12th century, right?
Rabbi, I'm reading this, and it's contradictory.
Are you still on?
I'm still on. Let me just get off. Have a good day, everybody.
It's contradictory what we